Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in.
In 2018, a quiet Australian expatriate living in Dubai did the unthinkable. He murdered his wife, buried her in the sands outside the city, and vanished without a trace. He thought the desert would keep his secret. He thought the silence would last forever. But 5 years later, someone started sending him messages from her number. David Lawson was a respected civil engineer from Perth. To everyone who knew him, he was polite, religious, and dedicated to his beautiful wife, Aisha, a Dubai-born social worker. But behind the polished smiles and Instagram-perfect marriage was a storm waiting to explode. Aisha had discovered David's secret affair with a co-worker, a married woman. When she confronted him, he didn't just deny it. He snapped. In a fit of rage one night, David struck Aisha. Once, then again. The next morning, he was digging a hole in the dunes near Al Qudra. He cleaned the house, donated her clothes, and told everyone Aisha had returned to her family abroad. Dubai police had no reason to doubt him. After all, missing adults often left quietly. David resigned from his job and moved back to Australia, starting a new life. New wife, new job, new mask. For 5 years, he lived like nothing had happened. Until one night, his phone buzzed. Text message. "Hello, David. Did you miss me?" At first, David thought it was a cruel joke. But the messages kept coming. Details only Aisha could know. The scent of her perfume left in his car. A photo of the burial site. And a single gold ring mailed to his office. He went to the police. But how do you report your dead wife haunting you? As paranoia consumed him, his second wife noticed the change. He wasn't sleeping. He kept staring into the desert behind their home. Until one night, a woman in a black abaya appeared at his doorstep. The security camera caught her face. It was Aisha. The truth? Aisha had survived. Barely. He hadn't buried her body. He buried her alive. A Bedouin shepherd found her unconscious hours later. She was smuggled out of Dubai under a false name by relatives who feared David's reach. For 5 years, she lived in hiding, recovering, waiting. When she returned, she didn't come for forgiveness. She came for justice. Her reappearance shattered David's new life. Within weeks, Dubai authorities reopened the case. Evidence recovered from the burial site linked him to the crime. In court, Aisha stood across from him. Alive, scarred, but unbroken. When asked if she forgave him, she whispered, "I don't forgive monsters." David Lawson was sentenced to life imprisonment in 2023. He buried her once, but she became the ghost that buried him instead. This is the story of Aisha and the man who thought love could be silenced by sand. Aisha's return should have ended the story. But survival was just the beginning. Because when you've been buried alive by the man you loved, justice isn't enough. You crave something deeper. You crave revenge. After David Lawson's conviction, Aisha became a symbol of resilience across Dubai. Interviews, documentaries, headlines that read, "The woman who rose from the sand." But beneath the spotlight, something darker was growing. She wasn't sleeping. She kept reliving the moment she woke up underground, tasting sand, gasping for air. Therapists called it trauma. Aisha called it unfinished business. During David's trial, Aisha discovered something horrifying. Her husband hadn't acted alone. Records showed that his co-worker and secret lover, Emily Crane, had helped forge documents and lie to investigators. She'd even wired money to cover his escape. Emily had since moved to Sydney, changed her name, and opened a luxury wellness clinic. A business built on the money Aisha once earned. When Aisha saw Emily's smiling face on Instagram, one thought consumed her. They buried me together. Only I came back. In 2024, Aisha flew to Sydney under a new identity. She visited Emily's clinic posing as a potential investor. The two women met for coffee. Emily didn't recognize her. The scars were gone, the accent slightly altered. Over the following weeks, Aisha played her game carefully. She gained Emily's trust. She learned her secrets, her husband's gambling debts, her hidden affairs, her weakness for control. And then she turned it all against her. Within months, Aisha anonymously leaked financial records showing Emily's clinic was laundering money. Then came the affair photos, released to every major news outlet. By the time police arrived at her door, Emily's entire life had collapsed. When reporters asked who exposed her, she whispered a single word through tears. Aisha. Aisha vanished soon after Emily's arrest. No interviews, no social media, no trace. But one email reached a journalist from an untraceable address. It said, "I didn't come back for justice. I came back to finish the story." Attached was a photo, the Dubai desert at sunrise, and a single pair of footprints leading away. For 5 years, she was the woman buried under the sand. Now, she's the ghost walking above it. And somewhere out there, the desert still remembers her name. Aisha. In the years after Emily Crane's downfall, whispers began to spread across continents. A name that once symbolized survival was now synonymous with vengeance. The woman the world once pitied had vanished, but her trail was soaked in ruin. And now, the law was after her. Interpol received an unusual request from the UAE. Reopen a file on David Lawson, presumed dead, later resurrected, and now missing again. But this time, it wasn't a rescue. It was a manhunt. Authorities traced anonymous offshore accounts connected to blackmail payments and leaked scandals, all leading to the same encrypted signature, Sandflower. It was Aisha's code name, one she used in secret blogs while hiding years ago. She wasn't just avenging her pain. She was building a crusade. Over 2 years, Aisha dismantled everyone who had betrayed her, one by one. A Dubai police officer who falsified her missing persons report. A banker who helped David move stolen assets. Even David's own brother, who had known about the murder all along. Each target fell mysteriously, exposed, disgraced, or imprisoned. And with every downfall, she sent the same anonymous message. Justice isn't blind. It just needed new eyes. Detective Omar Rahman, one of Dubai's top criminal investigators, became obsessed with tracking her down. He'd once been part of the same department that failed to find her years ago, and he carried that guilt like a scar. He saw her not as a criminal, but as a ghost demanding accountability. Through encrypted messages, Omar tried to reach her. He wrote, "You don't have to destroy yourself to prove you survived." She replied only once, "You destroyed me when you stopped looking." In 2026, Interpol traced Aisha to a small coastal town in Greece. When they raided the villa, it was empty, but her laptop was still on. On the screen was a half-written journal entry. "Revenge feels like air, addictive until you realize you're breathing fire." Moments later, witnesses saw a woman walking into the sea at dawn. No body was ever found. Some say she died that morning. Others believe she changed her identity again, living quietly under a new name. But what's certain is this: her story forced the world to confront the darkness hidden in perfect marriages, polished reputations, and blind justice. Aisha Lawson, once the victim of betrayal, became the most hunted ghost of modern crime. From the sands of Dubai to the silence of the Aegean Sea, her voice still whispers. You can bury the truth, but it always finds a way to breathe again. Months after Aisha's disappearance in Greece, Omar couldn't let go. Her words, "You destroyed me when you stopped looking," echoed echoed in his head like a curse. He reopened old archives, digging into forgotten case files, and soon discovered inconsistencies in the original investigation. Phone logs erased, witness statements altered, evidence destroyed, and the signatures on those falsified documents, they all led back to his own division. A retired officer, now living quietly in Sharjah, finally broke the silence. He revealed a chilling truth. David Lawson had paid Dubai officials, including Omar's former superior, Captain Karim Al-Mansour, to bury Aisha's case. They'd received money, luxury cars, even a property in Australia, all to declare Aisha missing by voluntary disappearance. Omar realized something devastating. He hadn't just failed Aisha. He had unknowingly protected her killer. One night, Omar received an anonymous package at his home. Inside was a USB drive labeled, "For the eyes that once looked away." The footage showed Captain Karim meeting with David Lawson 5 years earlier, shaking hands in a dimly lit cafe. And standing just outside the frame was Omar himself, walking past, completely unaware. Aisha had filmed it. She had known. Haunted by guilt and paranoia, Omar began seeing her everywhere. Reflections in glass, shadows in corridors, whispers in his sleep. He wasn't sure anymore if Aisha was dead, or if she was punishing him from somewhere in between. Determined to make things right, Omar leaked the files to international press, exposing the corruption inside his department. But before he could testify, Captain Karim disappeared, and Omar's own badge was revoked. In his final interview, recorded months before he vanished, Omar said something that would later fuel countless conspiracy theories. "I think Aisha never wanted revenge. She wanted us to remember. She wanted the world to look in the mirror and see what justice really costs." He paused, then added softly, "And sometimes, I still see her, watching me, smiling." Detective Omar Rahman's body was never found. Some say he fled after the scandal. Others believe Aisha found him first. But one thing is certain: their stories became one. A tale of guilt, vengeance, and the ghosts born from buried truth. This is not just a case file. It's a reminder that the living aren't the only ones who seek justice. After Detective Omar Rahman's disappearance, the press erupted with theories. Some called Aisha a vengeful survivor. Others believed she died long ago, and that the sightings were the hallucinations of those she haunted through guilt. News anchors debated, podcasts speculated, but then something strange happened. A journalist from London, Clara Hayes, received a letter in neat Arabic handwriting. It read, "You tell their stories. Now tell mine right. Signed AL." Inside was a flash drive containing surveillance footage from Dubai's CID office, dated 3 months after Aisha's supposed death in Greece. She was there, walking through the lobby, alive. Interpol reopened their case, this time under a new title, Operation Mirage. But every lead led nowhere. Each CCTV clip was genuine, but Aisha vanished seconds later, as if she was always one step ahead. Even more disturbing were the letters found in the homes of those who had wronged her. David's brother, Emily Crane, the corrupt officers. Each note read, "You don't escape the desert," and attached to every letter, a grain of Dubai sand. Psychologists began calling it the Aisha effect. People connected to the case reported seeing her reflection in mirrors, hearing her name whispered at night, feeling sand under their bedsheets. One ex-officer claimed Aisha appeared in his dreams, asking him to dig deeper. Weeks later, he turned himself in, confessing to decades of corruption. The phenomenon grew so widespread, experts questioned whether it was mass hysteria or something unexplainable. Journalist Clara Hayes followed Aisha's trail for months. She uncovered deleted police files, hush payments, and diplomatic cables. proving both Dubai and Australian officials had covered up the murder to protect political ties. But when Clara released her exposé, titled "The Woman Who Wouldn't Die," her home was broken into. The only thing missing? The flash drive. The next morning, she received a text from an unlisted number. "You did what I couldn't. Thank you." The location ping traced back to the desert, just miles from the original burial site. No one has seen Aisha since, but her story has taken on a life of its own, whispered among detectives, journalists, and survivors of abuse. Some say she's alive, helping women escape violent marriages under new identities. Others say she's become a myth, a symbol of the justice no courtroom could ever deliver. Either way, her ghost still moves across the world, unseen but unforgettable. Because sometimes, revenge doesn't end with death. It begins there. Aisha Lawson, the woman who was murdered, buried, forgotten, and then remembered by everyone who had something to hide. Her story reminds us, the desert never forgets. It just waits for the truth to surface again. By 2028, the world had turned Aisha Lawson into an urban legend, the ghost bride of Dubai, the woman who returned from her grave to hunt the guilty. But what no one knew was that she had started something much bigger before she vanished. Something that would turn whispers into war. Months after her exposé, journalist Clara Hayes received a plain brown envelope. No return address, no fingerprints. Inside were 37 USB drives. Each drive contained footage of women from Kenya, India, Lebanon, and Eastern Europe. Each one telling the same story. Abuse, disappearance, silence, and then a message at the end. Aisha helped me. Clara realized this wasn't a myth. It was a movement. Using digital forensics, Clara uncovered a network called the Sunflower Circle, a covert online organization built to help women escape violent partners and corrupt systems. The emails, fund transfers, and flight bookings traced back to one IP address, somewhere near Naxos, Greece. It was the same region where Aisha was last seen walking into the sea. So who was running it now? When Clara opened one of the encrypted messages, she found a single phrase: "Justice grows from buried roots." Signed, A. Soon, governments across the Middle East and Europe began cracking down on what they called Aisha's network. Dozens of officials were exposed for covering up domestic crimes. Secret documents leaked to journalists. Bank accounts froze overnight. A global reckoning was unfolding. One name at its center. In Sydney, protesters carried banners that read, "We are all Aisha." But behind the movement, someone was still pulling strings, releasing files, sending funds, staying unseen. In early 2029, Clara flew to Greece to find the truth. Locals spoke of a woman who came ashore years ago. Quiet, veiled, kind. Who treated stray animals and never showed her face. One night, Clara received a message from an unknown number. "You found me." The next morning, she found a sealed envelope taped to her hotel door. Inside, a single photo. It showed Aisha alive, standing on a cliffside, watching the sea. On the back, handwritten, "Some ghosts don't haunt to scare. They haunt to protect." By the time Clara returned to London, the world had changed. The Sunflower Circle grew into a full-fledged global aid network. Thousands of survivors came forward, guided by encrypted channels coordinated anonymously. Authorities could never trace the source. But every now and then, a new message appeared on the network's homepage. "Keep digging. The truth breathes beneath the sand." Signed, as always, with the same single letter, A. Whether Aisha Lawson is dead, alive, or something in between no longer matters. She became what her husband could never kill, an idea too powerful to bury. And now, in places where justice once failed, her name has become both a warning and a promise. Because Aisha wasn't just one woman. She was every woman who refused to stay silent. And every time a survivor walks free, the desert exhales another grain of truth. By 2030, the Sandflower Circle had grown beyond whispers. It wasn't just helping women escape abusive homes. It was leaking state secrets, exposing corrupt leaders, and collapsing governments built on silence. And the world's most powerful nations had one question: who is running it? Every trail led to the same impossible name: Aisha Lawson. Interpol, MI6, and the CIA each launched covert operations to dismantle the Sandflower Circle. They called it a threat to international stability. Bank systems crashed. Politicians resigned overnight. Hidden scandals spilled into the open like floodwater. But the network adapted, faster than any agency could follow. Because the circle had no leader, it was built on Aisha's final design. A system where every survivor could become the next A. One voice silenced, another would rise. One account deleted, 10 more appeared. A digital ghost army born from her pain. In late 2030, a hacker from Istanbul was captured, allegedly one of the circle's coordinators. During interrogation, she said something that sent chills through the agents. "You think Aisha's gone? She's watching this conversation right now." When asked where Aisha was, the hacker only smiled. "You can't arrest an idea." Seconds later, every computer in the room went dark. The screen lit up with a single message: "Stop digging. Some truths are buried for your own safety." Meanwhile, journalist Clara Hayes was under federal surveillance. Her exposé had been classified as a national security threat. But Clara wasn't done. She uncovered evidence that the Sandflower Circle had infiltrated high-ranking government servers, releasing proof of human trafficking networks, bribery, and political abuse. Then, one night, Clara received another untraceable package. Inside was a burner phone and a note: "You've seen how deep it goes. Now it's your turn to choose which side you're on." The phone buzzed once. An incoming call. The voice on the other end, calm, familiar, unmistakable. "Hello, Clara. It's Aisha." Voice analysis confirmed the impossible. The caller matched Aisha Lawson's speech patterns exactly. But where was she speaking from? Satellite triangulation showed 3 simultaneous sources: Dubai, Athens, and an undisclosed island in the Pacific. Was it an AI clone? A digital ghost? Or had Aisha mastered the one thing even death couldn't control? The power of her own myth? As governments scrambled to contain the leaks, global protests erupted. In London, Paris, Lagos, and Cairo, women marched under one banner: "We are Sandflowers." The movement no longer feared exposure. It thrived on it. In a final broadcast, hijacked across major networks, a woman's voice, calm, steady, spoke over static. "You buried me once. You buried the truth 1,000 times. Now the world is learning how to dig." The signal lasted 47 seconds. Then every feed went black. Some say it was Aisha's final message. Others believe it was the beginning of something far bigger. A revolution that used her name as a weapon. Because when justice hides too long in the shadows, it learns how to fight back. And long after her death, Aisha Lawson's voice still echoes. Not from the desert, but from every buried truth finally clawing its way to the surface. By 2031, Clara Hayes hadn't slept in weeks. Every story, every message, every image of Aisha Lawson had begun to blur together, like a dream replaying itself in fragments. Was Aisha still alive? Or had Clara become the newest vessel for her voice? In her London flat, Clara reviewed her footage from the Sandflower investigation. But something was wrong. Timestamps had shifted. Her own reflection blinked out of sync. And in one clip, her interview with the Istanbul hacker, a second voice spoke over hers. "Stop looking, Clara. You'll find her when she's ready." No one else in the room had heard it. Weeks later, a courier delivered a sealed invitation. No sender, just coordinates and a single sentence. You wanted to know if she's real. The location led to an abandoned data storage facility on the outskirts of Athens. A labyrinth of glass panels, humming servers, and flickering screens. On one wall, projections of Aisha's face looped endlessly, each one a little different, as if hundreds of versions were trying to remember who they once were. The air was cold, metallic. When Clara spoke, her words echoed back in another tone, the same calm cadence the world had come to know as Aisha's voice. Aisha, voice you kept digging, even when they told you to stop. Clara, who are you? A person? A program? Aisha, does it matter if the truth still breathes? Every light in the room pulsed with each syllable, like the building itself was speaking. A single figure stepped out from the shadows. A woman, veiled in white, eyes sharp, familiar. Clara froze. Her voice trembled. Clara, you can't be her. You died. The woman. Death was the last lie they gave me. Clara reached for her recorder, and every screen in the room lit up at once, displaying one sentence. The sand remembers. The woman smiled. And the power cut. When the lights returned, the servers were gone, and Clara Hayes was alone. Her camera still rolled, capturing only her whisper. I saw her, but the footage ends there. And to this day, no one knows if Clara met a woman, a machine, or the ghost the world itself created. A month after Clara Hayes vanished, a 19-second video surfaced on the dark web. It was uploaded to a hidden forum called the Mirrored Ones. No metadata, no origin, just one tag, AL/final broadcast. The footage begins in total blackness, then flickers to life, showing Clara's camera lying on a concrete floor. A woman steps into frame. Same voice, same calm tone, but her face keeps glitching, half human, half light. Aisha, voice. You can bury truth under sand, steel, or silence, but it always remembers the way home. Behind her, servers hum like a heartbeat. Then, the frame splits, showing hundreds of identical faces watching from screens. Aisha, I was one of many. Now, I am all of them. The video ends abruptly. Within hours, the clip spread across continents. Governments called it a deep fake. Hackers claimed it was an AI experiment gone rogue. But victims of domestic abuse, corruption, and religious cover-ups began sharing it with a single caption. She lives. From Dubai to Sydney, from London to Lagos. Women began leaving white scarves on sand dunes, rooftops, and courthouse steps. Each one carried a note with 3 words. The sand remembers. Interpol tried to trace the upload. The signal bounced through 11 countries before dying in the same region where Aisha was first buried. And there, a drone captured an impossible sight. A figure in white, walking alone through the desert, leaving no footprints. The footage corrupted seconds later. Some say Aisha Lawson was a survivor. Some say she became an idea too powerful to kill. Maybe she was both. A woman wronged, reborn through the voices of those who refused to forget her. What began as a murder in the desert ended as a movement. Not a ghost story, but a reminder. Truth never dies quietly. It waits beneath the silence, beneath the lies, until someone dares to dig again. This was the story of Aisha Lawson, the wife, the victim, the myth. And if you ever hear her name again, remember, the desert still breathes.
What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.